Last week players of the game: on offense, Jake Knight. Defense, Jonathan Moxie. O-lineman of the game was Mason Hampton. D-lineman of the game was Elliot Hoyt. And this might come as a shocker. The hard hat special teams player was David Moa from the game there. As far as injuries go, so Gabe Perez will be out. Gabe is, we're going to look at fixing shoulder, the other one that he had, not the same one he had, but another one. So we'll get that repaired here. Don't know the exact date of the surgery, but that's a loss for us, but certainly difficult on him. At the same time, the one he repaired has been good, so to get him back and get him ready to go and to do it now is the best decision we feel like for him and for his future. The other player that will also have surgery this week, Julian Carter, he's been redshirting for us. He'll have shoulder surgery as well, and we'll get him back for the spring. So that's really a little bit of a cleanup just for a young player, so you have something fixed before it becomes a problem. And we feel like Julian's going to be a player for us in the future, so we want to be able to do that. Mario is back this week, and still day-to-day with Leighton and Whitney right now, so that remains to be seen at the end of the week. Certainly from the game, I think the things that come out of that turnover's got to stop. That's one big thing, and we talk about that. So even in defeat, we talk about turnovers all the time. We're going to talk about those in victory as well. That doesn't change. We still have that standard, and we've gotten 3 this year and given up 11. That is not a good ratio for us in the turnover category. We're certainly aware of that, but it needs to change. And the answer to that is we're going to continue to emphasize it. We know it's important to us, and we've got to find ways to hang on to the football and find ways to get it. And that's for every single phase. Special teams have been way too up and down. We won the game on special teams, and we hurt ourselves on special teams. It's too up and down. The consistency there, certainly love the mentality that the guys bring in those moments, and I really think that's what the end of that game was. It was a moment, and we seized that moment. We're able to win the game because of it, but we also let quite a few opportunities slip through our hands, literally, at times on special teams, and that needs to end. That's got to happen in practice. It's got to come from myself, emphasizing that even better, and making sure that everybody understands the importance of being special on special teams, and we will certainly do that. Offensively, hot and cold. I think we're hot and cold on the offensive side, and when we're on, we're playing fairly well. When we're not very good, and again, that goes back to the consistency that continues to show up through practices, into games. I think we practice pretty well, but that needs to carry over. And so, I think we have a lot of things that we've got to keep working on. This is the show goes on, but there's a tremendous amount of work to do for the Broncos, and certainly that starts with me. It starts with this team. It starts with making sure that everybody's all in on the stuff that we have to get better at, because if we don't, those things show up, and those are factual. But I will say this: we are a very tough team. I'll say that about this team. We are tough. These guys play hard. They show their toughness in the most difficult situations, and with all the things that we have to work on from an execution standpoint, I'll take tough in the game of football anytime. And certainly it's gotten us to this point, but we can make it better. We can make it better, but these guys are tremendously tough, and we've been very proud of them and the coaches as well. Now we got to get better at the execution of the game of football, but the toughness part of it, there's no doubt in my mind. These guys are a tough football team. Wyoming 5-2. Craig Bowl, this is no surprise, Nebraska graduate. So he brings that toughness, 3 national championships at North Dakota State, 3-time Coach of the Year, 2-time Eddie Robinson Coach of the Year, 2-time AFCA Coach of the Year. I'm probably missing something in there, and he did buy me a cup of coffee, all right? And I appreciated that. So he does a tremendous job, and got a lot of respect for him. He also represents us in our conference as well as one of the coaches for the Mountain West. And certainly no surprise that Wyoming has continued to, has developed this season and is having the success they're having. And that starts with those coaches on that staff. It starts with a formula they've had, and certainly that's showing up right now. So what an awesome contest we're going to have on Saturday in Wyoming. And you know, one of the players that, not one of the players, two of the players, Josh Allen, the quarterback. This guy's thrown for almost 1,400 yards. He's got almost 300 yards rushing. Kid can spin it. Does a good job in their offense. Will run when he needs to, and can take advantage of throwing the football on the outside because they got Bryan Hill inside running the football. And you've got to obviously, this Bryan Hill was a true freshman. We got a chance to see him play, and he has developed, and he has gotten better, and he understands their schemes, and their O-line has improved. And they are running the football, and they are doing it effectively, and you know exactly what they want to do. And certainly they've done a good job of that. I thought number 21, Sean Wick, too. Watched him play in the Nevada game. That guy's pretty good. So it's not just a one-man show. They got a quarterback that can run. They got Bryan Hill who can run, and they got another guy back there that's also making plays. And certainly out in the perimeter, Tanner Gentry. That kid can do some really special things, and you got to know where those guys are at. So when you have that formula, you're doing some things on offense now where you're putting defenses in the bind. And we've got to do a great job against the run. There's no question about that. Bryan Hill's number 2 in the country running the football, and we've got to do a great job against that. I don't think anybody would say that would be a surprise by saying that by any means. And we have to find ways to slow them down. We've got to find ways to create some turnovers on the defensive side as well. Defensively, the 3rd in rush defense in our conference. They see it every day. Wouldn't expect them to not be very good at going against the run because of the way their offense is. So I think that breeds physicality, and certainly something that we try to do as well. 28, Andrew Wingard is their leading tackler. Certainly this guy plays their boundary safety for him. He'll come down and hit you. He makes plays. He makes plays in the open space. We saw him against Nebraska. Had a one-on-one with the quarterback, and I'm talking one-on-one with a lot of space, and he makes the plays. And so this kid can do a lot of things, and he will come down there, and he will play in the box, and he will play physical. They also play coverage. They're getting to some Tampa, too. We haven't seen a tremendous amount of that this year, but they get into a coverage where they put the Mike linebacker deep and the safeties deep, and the D-line, they do a very good job up front. So, we've got to be prepared for those guys as well. And then number 7, DJ May, their outside linebacker. Kid's very good. We just saw an outside linebacker, number 4, last week against BYU. That guy was very good. Well, DJ's right in the ballpark there in the way they use him and how he plays. Certainly can make plays out there on the outside, and he brings pressure off the edge. He's a guy that you got to be prepared for because of his speed. On the kick game, I think they've been solid in that area. Haven't seen too much as far as different looks in special teams or any trickery that way, but certainly fully expected. And we've got to be prepared for that. So I'm sure that the play they ran, a little toss back to the receiver, throw to the quarterback in the game, he talked about they've been practicing that for how many weeks, and teams usually do that. Well, there's probably something on special teams that we have to be prepared for. So we got to be on point when it comes to that because they can execute. I do think their kickoff return guy, DJ, we talked about before, very solid. And their punt returner, Austin Conway. This guy is elusive. This guy can make you miss. This guy will attack the return, and they will find ways to get him an opportunity to do that. So certainly coverage in this game in particular is extremely important because both these guys can go. So Wyoming is a very good football team. I like where we're at heading into this week. Every week is a new week. We take what we learn, we build from it, and we know we have a lot of things that we want to improve on as far as just our expectations of ourselves. And we get to play at 5 o'clock on Saturday. Expect that to be a full house.